Hello, mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about decimals, more specifically how to multiply with decimals, and we'll be using word problems as an example. To get us started, here we have a word problem that says a slice of pizza costs $2.75. If Mia buys 4 slices, how much does she pay? So we know that one slice costs $2.75. We know that Mia buys 4 slices, and we want to figure out how much she pays in total. So we're going to take $2.75 and multiply that by 4. And what we're doing is we're taking the cost per slice, so the cost of one slice, and multiplying it by 4 slices to figure out how much the 4 slices cost. So let's go ahead and multiply. To get us started, we do not need to line up the decimals. We just have to write the number with the most digits on top. And in this case, that would be 2 7500ths, and then times 4. Even though 2 7500ths is smaller than 4, it does have more digits, so we're going to write it on top. Then we're going to pretend like the decimals are not there and multiply the numbers just like whole numbers. So 4 times 5 is equal to 20. Bring down the 0 and bring up the 2. 4 times 7 is equal to 28, plus 2 is equal to 30. So bring down the 0 and bring up the 3. And then 4 times 2 is equal to 8. 8 plus 3 is equal to 11. And that's it for multiplying. Next, we're going to look at both the numbers and count all the digits to the right of the decimal point. So, in our first number, we have 2 digits after the decimal point. Then, our second digit is a whole number, so it does not have any digits after the decimal point. So, in total, we have 2. Then we're going to use this to help us figure out where the decimal goes in our answer. So because we counted 2, we're going to start at the end of our answer with a decimal point and then move that 2 spaces to the left, and that's where we're going to put our decimal point. So we could erase the original one that we wrote. So 2 7500ths times 4 is equal to 11. Now here we have 11 with a decimal point and 2 zeros. We could leave it as is because we're talking about money, or you could drop the 2 zeros because it's not needed here. So that means if each slice costs $2.75 and Mia buys 4, she's going to pay $11 for 4 slices. Here we have our next word problem. It says a hose pours 3 2500 gallons of water each minute. If it runs for 1 5/10 minutes, how many gallons of water flow into the pool? So we know that it pours 3 2500 gallons each minute, and it runs for 1.5 minutes. In order to figure out how much water flows, we are going to go ahead and multiply. We're going to take the amount of water that the hose pours each minute, multiply it by the number of minutes to figure out how much total water we're going to have. So to start us off, again, we do not need to line up the decimal points. We're going to write the number with the most digits on top, and then we're going to go ahead and multiply. We're going to treat this like it were whole numbers, and we're going to start off and just multiply it normally and ignore the fact that there are decimals there. So 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Bring down the 5, bring up the 2. 5 times 2 is equal to 10, plus 2 is equal to 12. So bring down the 2, bring up the 1. And then 5 times 3 is equal to 15, plus the 1 on top is equal to 16. Now we're going to move on to our 1, but before that we're going to add a 0 here as a place value holder. So now 1 times 5 is equal to 5. 1 times 2 is equal to 2. 1 times 3 is equal to 3. So now let's go ahead and add. 5 plus 0 is equal to 5. 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. And that's our answer after we multiply. Now we're going to look at both our numbers and count all the digits to the right of the decimal point. So here we have 2 digits. Here we have 1 digit. And in total we have 3. So we're going to put a decimal point at the end and then move it 3 spaces to the left. And that's where our decimal point goes. So if we have 3 and 2/25 gallons of water each minute, and we have that running for a minute and a half, in total we're going to have 4 and 875,000 gallons of water. And that's it.